Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Uh, as we have gone through direct and indirect speech inside the class, I've told you some background of direct and indirect speech, and I've told you basic rules how to change direct speech into indirect. Today we will go through those a little bit more. I've give you information about direct and indirect speech, and we also revise those things which we have studied inside the class. So basically we start from the definitions and the concept of direct and indirect speech. What direct and indirect speech is: whenever we convey someone's message to another person, it may be in direct speech or indirect speech. There are two ways of conveying message. One is direct speech and second is indirect speech. In direct speech, we convey someone's message with his own actual words without any changing, so that is called direct speech. And whenever we convey someone's message with our own words to another person, that is indirect speech. So there is an example I've told you inside the class as well. When we use direct speech, we don't change the wordings of the person who told, so we convey directly. So there are two sentences over here. He says she works hard. He said she works hard. One is in present simple and second is in past. So how we change it into indirect speech: he says that she works hard. Now I have removed the inverted commas. And in second, he said that she worked hard. Over here I have changed the tense also. So how I've changed the tenses also, there are some specific rules. So but first of all, you have to know that this part, she says, this is called a reporting speech. So keep this thing in your mind. The first part is reporting speech, and I have qualified the exams. The second part is reported speech. Keep this thing in your mind. Now there are some basic rules of changing direct speech into indirect speech. First of all, we remove the comma and inverted commas, and we put that in place of comma and inverted commas. Now in this sentence you can say I have changed them, have kept that and removed these inverted commas over here. Secondly, we change the first letter of reported speech into small letter. Now over here, she reported speech, she is in capital. Over here I've changed it into a small letter, except I. Whenever I comes, it is the rule that we cannot change it into small letter. Third, we change the verb, helping verb of the reported speech. What is reported speech? This part is called reported speech. So we change according to the pronoun. There are some examples you can say over here. In direct speech, he says I have qualified exams. Now I've changed it. She says that she has qualified the exams. Over here there is I pronoun and I have changed it with she. Now there are some rules how to change pronouns. I will tell you furthermore. Keep one thing in your mind, that whenever this reporting speech is in present or in future, so the tense of reported speech will not change. We cannot change that. If this reporting speech is in past only, so we change the tense of this reported speech. So keep this thing in your mind. Now there is another thing, that whenever there comes told or said, these both are same. There is no any difference in told or said. We can use told in place of said as well. Said is used without object and told needs an object. When there is an object in reporting speech, so we must use told. And when there is no any object in reporting speech, we use said. Said needs to. This to, like over here, he said to me. Now there is an object, so said needs to whenever we use it in a reporting speech. Whenever we use told, so we don't use this to in our reporting speech, in indirect speech. Now second, persons, that I have told you that how to change pronouns. We have three persons: first person, second person, and third person. As I have told you about the sun formula inside the class, that how to change first person and how to change second person and how to change third person. First person changes according to the subject of a reported speech. Second person, you, that changes according to object. And third person, he, she, it, or they, that will not change. That is sun formula. First person changes according to subject, second person changes according to object, third person will not change. So this is our formula of changing pronouns. Now there is a table of pronouns: first person, second person, third person. Over here you can easily see that how we change them with their uh, according to the sun formula. And what is the subjective, objective, possessive cases of these pronouns? I changes into me as an object, we changes into us, you changes into same you, he changes into him, she changes into her, they changes into them. So this is the table, you can see it and you can take picture of that and keep them in your notes. Now the rules of changing pronouns. If we change direct speech into indirect speech, the pronoun will change in the following ways. What is the formula? That is the sun formula, which I have told you inside the class as well, but over here you can see in detail. The first person of the reported speech changes according to the subject. Now see, SON, first person changes according to the subject of reporting speech. Second person, when second person comes, the second person of reported speech changes according to the object of reporting speech. Understood? And the third person of the reported speech does not change. So this is called the sun formula. You can see it in detail, extra information written over here. Now see, we have some examples over here. This is of first person. She says, I am going to school. Now what is I is first person. I and we, these both are first person. So first person changes according to the subject. What is subject of reporting speech? She. So how we change it? Over here you can see, she says that she is going to school. Now I have changed I with she. Why? Because in reporting speech our subject is she, so it changes according to the subject of reporting speech. Understood? So next we have second person. Whenever we have second person, now for example over here you can see, he says to him, your brother is naughty. Now over here you can see object as well in reporting speech. So second person always changes according to object of reporting speech. Over here you can see how I've changed it. He says to him that his brother is naughty. Over here him is third person, so I've changed over here his according to this object. So if you have second person, so second person changes according to object of reporting speech. That's why over here I have replaced his, I've replaced is in place of your. Now third we have third person. How to change third person? I say they were playing well. Now third person will not change. So that's why over here I have kept third person as it is. I have not changed and I have not brought any changes into that sentence. I say that they were playing well. Understood? So over here you can see extra information related to this. If you don't understand, you can ask questions. There is another example. He says we are working hard. He says that they are working hard. So over here it is in plural, so that's why I've changed it into plural. So don't be confused over here. Now there are some rules for changing tense of reported speech. Reported speech was the second part, which is in inverted commas, that is reported speech. So how do we change the tense of reported speech? As I told you in first lecture, that when our reporting speech, the first part is in past, so then we can change the old tense of a reported speech. So how do we change it when it is in past? Now present indefinite changes into past indefinite, present continuous changes into past continuous, present perfect changes into past perfect, present perfect continuous changes into past perfect continuous, past simple changes into past perfect, past continuous changes into past perfect continuous. Okay, and future, how do we change future? We replace will and shall into would and should. So when we have will in future, so we change it into would. Now these are sentences, you can see them how I've changed them according to these rules. Now there is there are some rules of changing here and now words. This changes into that, these changes into those. When they come into direct speech, we change them into indirect speech according to these rules. When this comes into direct speech, we change it into that. When these comes into direct speech, we change it in those into indirect speech. Hence, thence, thus, so. Has to, have to changes into had to. Is to, are to, am to changes into was to, were to. Can changes into could, main changes into might, must changes into must or had to, now changes into then or right away, tomorrow changes into the next day, the following day, the coming day, the day after tomorrow changes into daytime, days time, yesterday changes into the previous day, the last day, the day before, the day before yesterday changes into 2 days before, today changes into that day, tonight changes into that night, last night changes into the previous night or last night, the night before. Here changes into there, come, ago changes into before, sir and madam changes into respectfully in reporting speech, good morning, good afternoon, evening changes into greeted. Keep this thing in your mind.